Shark Game here, coming at you with another episode from ChooseYourRelationships.com off of Love Can't Wait, which you can find on Amazon.com. And I got an email from a guy, and he's dating a single mother with two kids. She's an older chick. He's 28 and she's 40. So she's a 40-year-old chick with two kids. He's 28 years old. I've been dating this woman for about 6 months. Everything seems to be going well, but I don't know if I want to take things to the next level and have a relationship with her. What do you think about single, older women with kids? Oh, brother. You know what? I had let me tell you a story. I dated a single woman with kids when I was about 28 years old. And she was about 38 with two kids. And that was one of the worst relationships I've ever had in my life. God, this shit was just, that shit was hard, man. You know, I don't think I never dated a single woman with kids ever since that time when I was in the 20s. I mean, I think dating some single mothers with kids, those relationships are tough, man. You know, I mean, it's hard being in a relationship with a single woman with no kids. But think about how much things can get complicated if a woman have two kids. Maybe she got divorced, or maybe she just never got married, but she got two kids with another guy, and you don't have any kids. I mean, this was one of the worst relationships I've ever. I think that was the worst relationship I ever had. Now, let's get some shit. Let's put some things in perspective. Now, when you date a woman with kids, it's a package deal. The kids and her, it's a package deal. And the kids are gonna be first, which they should be, for logical reasons, right? And you have to realize that you're never going to be, how should I say this? She's never going to put you before her kids. She's never going to see you as a person of value the way a single woman with no kids would see you. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think about it. A woman with kids, she only has but so much time. She got to spend time with. She has to work. She got to spend time with the kids, doing whatever they need, taking care of them, nourishing them, whatever. Then she has to spend time with you. So you have to realize that takes a lot of energy. So you got to ask yourself, how much time is she really going to have to spend with you? You got to ask yourself this question before you get involved with a woman with kids. And, you know, there's some things She might not be able to go out of town. She might not be able to go on vacations. Um, you might not even be able to come stay over at her house at certain periods of times. Just, you know what I'm saying? All kinds of shit happens with kids. And being a parent, a single parent, is tough. It's probably it's probably the toughest thing. It's just being a parent in itself is tough. But imagine being a single parent. So you got to take these things into account. And there's one thing that I ran into that I wasn't really prepared for. See, a lot of women, just like I said, the kids are always going to be first. But a lot of times, a lot of kids will act out and misbehave. And a lot of times, at least from my experience, one of the kids used to say a lot of things, not a lot of things, but do a lot of things, and every once in a while say something that's really offensive. You know, stuff, disrespectful things, stuff that I would not tolerate from, or that I don't tolerate from anybody. So what happens is the little kid, a 6-year-old kid, used to say things to me from time to time, but the mom would never check the little boy. She would never say anything. So, I mean, I didn't say anything because it wasn't my place. See, I used to look at her, you gonna say something to him? She didn't say, most of the time, she didn't say shit. So you gotta run into that too, because I think that most kids feel like, you ain't my daddy. I mean, I don't gotta listen to anything you say. I mean, you're just here because my mom wants you here. We don't like you. I mean, they're not going to say that shit. But a lot of kids in their minds thinking, he's okay, but you ain't our daddy. You're not my daddy. I mean, they might ask you questions. You might play catch with them, play video games or whatever. But in the back of their mind, they're thinking, you ain't nothing. You're just here because my mom wants you to be here. That's all. And then after a certain amount of time, some kids will test you. They might say something just to say or do something. They might even get physical. And I mean, how would you handle that? And then they never got physical with me, but they just said little shit like, for example, I remember one time I went over to her house and I rung the doorbell, and the little boy opened the door and said, "You again." Stuff like that caught me off guard. So he said, when he opened the door, he said, "You again," that's me. So that means that he was tired of seeing me there, or didn't expect me to be there, or whichever the case. But it's very rude. So the mom was like, "Little boy, go sit down." But little shit like that, huh? It just was uncomfortable. And then I started having second thoughts. I was like, I can just go find a single bitch with no kids, and everything will be much simpler. But I'm here fucking with this bitch. She got 2 kids, and one of them just don't fucking like me. So I'm like, these are some things you have to take into account. And then, what about if after you done spent a lot of time around the kids, what about if y'all do hit it off and y'all form a bond? And let's just say maybe you put the kids on some game, you teach them how to make some money, you teach them about whatever you know. Like for example, I'm a techie guy, so I'm kind of a programmer, and I'm into like doing a lot of promotion online and creating websites. So let's say I help the kid do that, right? And maybe they get caught on to it and liked it or whatever, and maybe they created a video game, and then all of a sudden the relationship with the mom is over. So now after that bond you built with the kids, that shit is over. So I didn't put all that equity in building a relationship and teaching the kids, and now that's over because the relationship with the mom is over. So you gotta think about all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I would have never got involved. Then plus, there's something else that I wasn't ready for. She had this thing with her ex boyfriend, which was the kid's father. They used to always go back and forth, like bickering on the telephone. She used to go off, and she used to always apologize why she was acting the way she was acting in front of me, or whatever. So obviously, she used to do it all the time. She was used to doing it all the time in front of the kids, but not, I never witnessed that shit. So she was always trying to use the system to get more money out of him. Seems like the more money he made, the more she was trying to get in his pockets. So, I just didn't feel good about it. I didn't like being around that shit. I mean, when they was going back and forth on the telephone, in my mind, she was all, I like, yo, they got to still be fucking. You know what I'm saying? Because she was like, it seemed like they still had something going on, but she was just shooting me some bullshit and had me thinking something else. Plus, she had me think, she was kind of leading me on thinking that we was going to be together long term. So I was like, I don't know about all that shit. She pretty much has too much shit going on. So these are just some things you have to take into account. And why do you want to be with an older woman anyway? I mean, is it something else besides sex? I mean, because is she teaching you anything, or you learning something from her? I mean, if you get with an older woman, and if you've been spending a lot of time around her, just make sure you're getting something tangible out of the relationship. Maybe learning something from her. Maybe you're building something together or something like that. Just let it be something more than sex. And some guys will say you gotta pay like you weigh. Whatever that mean. But women kind of benefit from sex. The older woman usually benefit from sex being with a younger guy more than the younger guy being with an older woman. Because older women have more bragging rights, and it kind of boosts her self-esteem. So she can say, hey, I got this young thing, I still got it, I can still catch. And the younger guy, he can go tell his younger buddies, hey, I got an older woman that I'm spending time with or whatever, but doesn't really hold too much weight, really. He 9 times out of 10 he's inexperienced. He, of course, he don't have as much experience as her because she's older than him. But just let it be. It has to be something that she can bring to the table because she's older, has more experience, and 2 kids. And more than likely, you don't have any kids from the email that you sent. I'm assuming that you don't have any kids. But just, there's a lot of stuff that comes into play. I think dating a single mother with kids is very complicated, man. I wouldn't, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, fuck that. That's just my opinion, But it's just it can be a complicated situation. And then you got the father's kids. You don't really know what's being said in the other household where he live at, and you don't really know what he's saying to his kids. He probably, and they don't tell him what he's saying to kids. He's probably saying something like, "Hey, if that man ever touch you, let me know." You know what I'm saying? And then I'm the type, I don't let a lot of shit slide, especially when it comes to kids, because I don't tolerate disrespect. And if kids or anybody say or do anything that I don't approve of in my presence, I'm the type of person that I'll say something. And with her, it was kind of like, it got to a point where it was like, she was like, I got it, you know what I'm saying? She knew I wanted to say something, but at the same time, she was like, oh, I'll take care of it or whatever. But in a lot of times, she didn't. And that, I kind of felt a little funny about that shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't kind of, maybe you ain't the type of chick, maybe I shouldn't be here. I kind of felt like, didn't feel valued as a man at certain points when I was spending time around her and her kids at her house. And even when we used to go certain places, it was kind of like she had that vibe. She used to give me that vibe, like, I mean, you alright, but you don't really gotta be here or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And what happened is, when I was talking to this chick, I was in the process of moving to Charlotte, and so I used to go back and forth, like on the weekends, or sometimes I used to stay the whole week at her house. So when I actually got a job offer that I wanted, I stopped fucking with her. I really, I started to put, I started to put a little space in between, and I slowly but surely stopped spending time with her because, I just got to a point where I just knew the shit wasn't gonna go nowhere or whatever, and she ended up getting back with her ex, which is her kid's father. Like probably like I don't know, probably 3 weeks after I moved. So that kind of made me feel like when I wasn't in town, he was still hitting it. But this is just some shit you got to really think about once you get involved with a single woman with kids. I just think you're just better off meeting a woman with no kids. That's just my opinion. You know, sometimes it's not, you got to put your feelings on the side, hang that shit up, and look at things in a logical and practical manner. You know, because sometimes it's hard to see things when you're in the middle of it. So sometimes you got to step out of the equation and look at everything from a practical point of view. So, if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel. Check out my blog, chooseyourrelationships.com. And follow me on Instagram. My handle is Sharp Game and the number 1. That's Sharp Game and the number 1 on Instagram. Follow me. I post pictures up and all kinds of funny shit from time to time. So it's Sharp Game, the number 1. So until next time, I'm out.